right, Montana. It's our first taping of the Midtown podcast.
I know, it's kind of crazy. This little setup here in the gym is...
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
Velvet chairs.
I know.
Nice ambiance through the doors open and all the good stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we talked to Bird a little bit, and that conversation sort of went a little personal and just like her journey and starting fitness so young.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of steer our conversation maybe towards the broader Midtown community, and you've been with us now 6 months, is that correct?
Getting close to it, yep. Started in March.
Okay.
So, yep,
yeah, so
close.
you've been in Tallahassee in fitness your whole life, right?
Whole life,
yes.
yep.
So maybe give me, I don't know, maybe your perspective on when I reached out to you and what you knew or didn't know of us and what that first couple weeks and then has led into 6 months and what it's like. And
okay, so when you first reached out to me, it wasn't actually you. It was Trey Gardner,
right?
had my godmother reach out to me at one of our personal training sessions. And she also didn't have enough information, so she just kind of told me it was a management job. And my background is in hospitality management.
Sure.
I've managed spas and salons and stuff like that over time. And I was like, basically like told her to F off. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want a management job. I'm good. And she ended up calling my parents, which then made it very real. And she was
I
like,
did not know that.
Yeah, she called my parents and was like, tell Montana that she needs to go have this conversation.
It's funny.
I was like, all right. I was like, I'll go have the
didn't know all
conversation.
this.
Yep. So she kind of like forced that onto me to just go because I really wasn't looking for a job.
Yeah. Why do you think she?
Well, she's my godmother, so she always has my back, and I've known Trey and her for such a long time, and I've done a lot of different work through his catering businesses and her businesses. So, one, I'm very thankful that they just keep my name in conversation more than anything. But two, I think it was also like the perfect combination of my management experience, but not necessarily wanting to be in a hospitality, customer service in the sense of something I didn't care about.
Sure.
Fitness is what I care about, and keeping people healthy is what I care about. So talking about tanning or facials just wasn't like passionate.
Sure. Understandable.
So once I figured out that it was a management job within a gym, it obviously was like, okay, this might actually be a really good opportunity for me. I had been an independent contractor as a personal trainer, so obviously offered some stability too. I hadn't really heard a whole lot about Midtown. To be quite honest, it kind of flown under the radar. We're
still new, and we were new at that.
Still so new, and I think too, that was something that drew me to it, was that we didn't have a huge identity yet. So something to be able to actually create an identity with a group of people who were like-minded was a cool opportunity to look at as well.
Yeah. I think too, like, the style of our gym is such that we aren't just a CrossFit gym, right? We aren't just a personal training studio. We aren't just one thing where it's sort of a amalgam of all these things kind of intertwined.
And I think that's the best part of it, because for me, at least my values of fitness, I don't think that anybody has to do what I do to be healthy or fit.
Right.
I was reading some statistic, and it was basically saying that like less than 0.008% of the world will ever be a professional athlete or even have those aspirations to do it.
Interesting.
So a lot of people see, we're drowned in social media with like the best of the best in every sport, every aspect of life, whether it's a fitness person on the internet or a professional athlete, and they have this idea that that's what they have to be like to be healthy. That's not true. So being able to bring everything that embodies fitness and health in one place and show people that you don't have to do this, but you can do this. If this makes you happy and it gets you moving and it more moves us in that general direction of health, then it has to be beneficial. Like, it has to be.
Sure.
So that was like my biggest thing too, is I love everything being brought into one place, because I've loved gym jumping. I've never been just a CrossFit athlete. I've been a powerlifter, a gymnast. I've done Orange Theory, which was terrible. Good on them for doing it. I hated it. I've tried everything, and I love all the different gyms and stuff. So I like reminding people that fitness doesn't look like one thing. It just looks like taking care of yourself for life.
Yeah, it tends to be tribalistic, I think, sometimes in fitness. Like, oh, this is my CrossFit gym, and this is CrossFit, and you can only do this. And
I would like to hope, and I think that it has kind of been fading over the last year or so, where people have started to lean in more into community. So I think, too, showing people that you can be a community, that people can come to you, have somewhere that, yes, maybe is their home gym that's conveniently located next to their house, but if they find people or services that work well for them, why not be able to go to another location?
Sure.
And I think everybody should want that for an individual, because it leads to more health.
Yeah. So, yeah, I always tell people our competition is not the gym down the street, right? No. It's McDonald's or, it's the lifestyle or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So, as you've gotten here now and started to kind of integrate with the community, and it's been a few months, what what would you say is maybe, as we started to define broader goals and ideals that we want to maybe shape and let our image be known as, what would you say that is for you? And
I want people to be able to come here and be able to know that any step that they're with in their journey, that we can assist them with a service.
Sure.
Whether that is, if you're already an athlete and you're very avid, wonderful, get into our CrossFit classes. If you've had an injury or maybe have made some lifestyle choices that have brought you to a certain point in your life and you need someone to help you out of that, we can offer that to you too. So I think being a place that people know, like, oh, like, I don't really know where to go for this, but I know that Midtown can tell me who and how they're going to solve this.
Sure.
So I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah. So in that mindset, then tell me a little bit about your fitness growing up. Like, did you play sports in high school? Or you always?
So I'm an only child, and I joke that I'm like the son that my dad never had, which is all fine. He's totally for all girl and everything, but
sure.
I played every sport under the sun. I started in gymnastics. I started in soccer. That was a joke. Jumped into gymnastics. I did that for about 10 years. So that's my basis of sport. I quit that in the middle of high school. Had a very full-blown crisis of identity. I did not know what I was anymore or what to do.
Because you left something that was just so much of your time.
It's so much of my time. And by the point I got to high school, everybody who plays a team sport in high school has usually played since they could walk, whether it was softball or soccer or whatever it could be. And listen, my athleticism helped, but I always talk about my soccer coach, because I ended up playing soccer and flag football in high school. My soccer coach was always like, you're not technically a good soccer player, but you are fast, so you make up for a lot of the mistakes that you make. And I was
thanks.
like cringing, laughing, but it was truth. I was never like good technically, but I was athletic enough and could adapt to things. I found CrossFit in my sophomore year of college. Spent the first 2 years of college gaining the freshman 20. After high school, just fell away from team sports. Didn't have any aspiration to go play anything anywhere. So just enjoyed time at Florida State University. A lot of beer, a lot of queso. And then Melissa, same Trey and her, opened Red Hills CrossFit. And she was like, you should come try this. So that was when I started CrossFit. It was my sophomore or junior year of college. Got my L1 the year after that because I loved it so much. And then I had plans to coach at 38 CrossFit or a gym down in Destin. Didn't work out, so I ended up where I lived. So I took a year off, basically anything again. I lived with my grandma in Defuniak Springs, which is a nothing interstate town. So I just worked and lived there. And then when I moved home, I took a job at a tanning salon that happened to be right next to Capital City Barbell. And the owner of Capital City Barbell walked in one day. He was like, you look strong, because my gymnastic shoulders have never really disappeared. He's like, we're having this like little volunteer deadlifting on Saturday. You should come hang out. And then from there, it was like, oh, you should work out.
So you didn't know him or anything?
I didn't know about anything. I didn't know about the gym. I didn't know about powerlifting. And I was just like, I was like, I need to do something. So I'll come. And then it was, let me program for you. Oh, there's this local meet. And then it was, hey, you qualified for nationals. And I was like, what did I do? What did I get myself into? So I competed for 2 years in powerlifting. I made it to nationals twice. I got 66th the first year and 65th the second year. So we improved. I didn't enjoy the weight cutting and the stress that came with like having actual weight classes of it. That part was not fun to me. So what wasn't fun about it? Just the pressure on your weight, or the pressure, actual? And I didn't enjoy how I felt after cutting and stuff. Like it's rough. Yeah, it's not. You don't feel strong. You don't feel like anything like how you felt in training. I had a very hard intro to that. My coach did not know that I didn't know how to cut, so I was very overweight 2 weeks out from a competition, and it was a very rough 2 weeks of my life. It can be tough. But so let's see, CrossFit fell out of that. My last powerlifting nationals was like a few months before I got married, and I got married in 2018. Took like another year off. Didn't really know what I was doing at that point. I think Melissa hired me to open her spa. And then I found Modern Fitness, which reintroduced me to fitness in general, because I hadn't been really doing a whole lot. I tried out the Anytime Fitness in Crawfordville. It was 3 times was enough to not want to go back there. And then Modern was who actually reintroduced me to Kelsey Romhild, and she was introduced to me as somebody to compete at Battle for the Brave with. So I just kind of dove head back into CrossFit, and then that was, I guess, 2019. So ever since then has been CrossFit all the way forward.
Gotcha.
And it hasn't been at a CrossFit gym, which has been interesting. I've just done all the programming on my own.
Your own.
And thoroughly love competing, specifically with team, not individually. But that's my goal this year, is to be better mentally.
Why not the individual? Just too much pressure? Or?
So much pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't ever want to throw up on team days individually. The entire day is like
just the stress you put on yourself?
Yeah,
or?
I think so. Stress of putting myself, knowing like that I had brought myself to a bigger stage of like competitions and stuff, because I do like to do the ones that are larger in Florida, and there's a lot of really good people who spend a lot of time on their fitness. So but what I did enjoy, the last time I competed individually was at Beach Brawl in 2021, and I ended up getting like 20th out of like 48 people, which was very humbling, but also very eye-opening to like, again, people work very, very hard. So to know that, one, there's a lot farther I can go was cool, but also like hard to swallow as well.
So do you think that even though maybe you didn't perform top 5 or podium or something like that, do you think it still had value for you to do?
Absolutely. I mean, it put me in so many uncomfortable situations that now I know I won't be near. I'll still be nervous. I don't think I can get rid of the nerves before an event because it's a race. Like, it just is what it is. But I mean, I cried on the floor at that at that competition.
Prior to an event or after?
During it.
During it.
I was like, it was my favorite event too that had been programmed. It was bar muscle ups, the ski erg, and some dumbbell push press, and I had just learned bar muscle ups the last like 6 months, but they were pretty good honestly have just learned them, so I was really excited for it. But the rig that they had was so slippery and so tall, and I had this teeny little peg that I had to like reach up to, so I had to start all my bar muscle ups from a dead hang,
just threw everything
which was
off.
so hard and terrible. And I mean, they had a 14-minute time cap, and the girl who was in my heat, she did it in 5 minutes and change. And like everybody else got capped, and it was just like she was on her round of 2s when everybody was still on like 6s because it was 10 down to 2. But yeah, I cried on the floor.
Wow.
But it was after that was the first event of the day, and like once that was gone, I was like, all right, can't go any worse than that.
Sure.
Like, so
now I would say that, I don't know what you think about this, but my perception of other people's perception of you from the gym is that like you're one of the better athletes in here in the gym, and that, I don't know, maybe to hear that you were nervous on a competition is probably not what they would expect, right?
Absolutely. I feel like half the time people, one, don't remember or know that I did lose weight. Like I show people like my before and afters through CrossFit, because I lost almost 25 pounds after I started CrossFit in college. I was like 170, something around that. And I typically say around 140, 145. So it was a significant change in my health. But I think, it's normal to be nervous for anything that you never do, but I like to remind people of that, because it's like, look, I was like, my hard is still hard. I was like, I've been doing this for a while now, so my hard looks tremendously different than somebody who's just starting. I was like, but in the sense, it's still the same. Like, your hard still feels just as hard as my hard does at the end of the day. So reminding them, too, is like, one, it's okay to be nervous. Two, it's okay to fail, because I would say I didn't fail that competition. I got much better at mental fortitude.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to be learned,
being able to
right?
walk up to, a group of 60 very fit women and be like, all right, I can hang with them. Like, this is okay.
Yeah, it's probably not people's perception of you to think that you would walk into a room and be
nervous.
Yeah, or be nervous or not be the top athlete in there, right? And they probably think, oh, Montana doesn't know what it's like to look at the board and see this workout, and then to hear maybe that story is somewhat similar depending on your setting, right? Yeah.
And when I said it's just all about like where you put yourself, because like I said, I can put myself in a room and become very last place very, very quickly if I wanted to. And I said, I think there's also value to that. I do like to put myself in rooms with people who are better than me, because it makes me be better. I will go 100 times harder with my friend Christina, who is a really great CrossFit athlete, trying to chase her down than I ever would doing it alone. Yeah,
sometimes if we want to get better, you can't be the best in the room and expect to grow, right? You have to kind of put yourself in uncomfortable situations to continue that process in yourself.
And I think they say fail forward, start messy, things like that. Like, people made up how this world functions.
Yes.
You know, like I go in
True.
down on a rabbit hole on that a long time. I'm like, somebody made up the alphabet, you guys.
Right.
Like it's all figment basically.
Right.
I'm just like, so you, one, create your reality. Two, you can surround yourself with people who can help you create that reality in whatever direction you want it to be.
Right.
And yeah, I just think, I don't know, lost the train of thought.
Yeah, I tell my kids that a lot. Like, you're not going to always know the right choice to make. Sometimes you got to fail forward. But if you're making a proactive decision to do something, you might end up taking a left or a right, but you're going to keep making that.
And if it's not illegal or hurting somebody, I mean, what's the worst that can
Right.
happen other than you learn that it doesn't work out
Sure.
and you have to try something new?
Yeah.
I mean, that's experimentation.
So as we sort of maybe wrap this up, what do you foresee the next 6 months, 6 years for Midtown? Like, do you have any goals here that you want to implement or you want to shape or you want to do in the, I don't know, in the community sense or the fitness sense or the offerings?
What I would love is for more of our like recovery room members and our CrossFit members to get a lot more crossover and like congruency together and community in that sense, because I feel like we have wonderful community and I think they all know each other and like each other well, but trying to foster more things that they can do together so that the space does feel like one big happy home. I mean, I know the outside space I feel like is going to do that
nice.
for us to a little degree too, because it kind of marries everything together and gives everybody this really awesome visual space. I mean, aesthetics play a lot into things, so like if you put somebody in a cool place with good vibes, that's usually what is brought to the table as well.
And I think we've had lots of conversations. We're always workshopping, because we have kind of these separate businesses, not separate, we have these separate avenues within the business, right? We have the recovery room where it's more the cold plunge and the saunas and the rehab, and then we have the CrossFit side, and sometimes those don't intermingle as much, but we're always...
If we could get them to, or like I said, it's because at the end of the day, like I really do think that everybody can benefit from most of our services all at once.
Right.
Like outside of like if you don't need personal training maybe.
Right.
But like I do think that everybody can, because one, recovery, two, your medical services, three, the gym itself. We were talking about fitness and health. Like when you marry all that together, you're putting a lot of very good odds, a lot of good eggs in the basket in your favor for life to be happier and healthier all the time. And I think the other big goal too is to really make an impact on our local families' lives. I've had a lot of clients in the last 6 months who, same thing, like not necessarily their own lifestyle choices, but the circumstance of their life for the last 20 years. It's these parents who, want to do more with their kids, these, busy bodies who are lawyers and doctors, but they are hurting because they haven't been able to take care of themselves properly, whether that was by choice, by lack of education, or whatever it might be. But being able to see the change in my clients the last couple of months even has been freaking amazing, and I love that the Midtown's given me the ability to serve more of this client base in general. It's given me the ability to age up a little bit as well, which is I love. It's
cool
because they care about their health and fitness
awesome.
for very important reasons.
Well, thank you for joining us today.